Hey guys, welcome back. I saw in the last video that we were having on the 2023 Outlander. We were had a front CV axle that was giving me a little bit of fits and making some noise, and I told you guys I had a new one. I was going to replace it. Well, we're going to replace it today, but unfortunately, things have escalated. Yeah, not sure when this happened. We have been riding just a little bit back and forth to the farm, but yeah, she has definitely left the chat. Most definitely left the chat. We definitely have carnage here. You can see where the ball socket has opened up. So, yeah. We're going to tear into this and try to get her fixed today. Let me get this wheel off and we'll go from there. Looks like that axle nut is a 27 mil. I'm going to hopefully pop it off with the impact. Oh, that makes life easy. Well, that's easy. Yeah. Let me throw some gloves on. All right, taking that out. We're going. I'm just gonna. Normally, I probably would tear this all apart and then slide this out. Well, maybe I'm gonna go ahead and get that half out. That way, it's out of my way and not getting everything all freaking greasy, guys. So yeah, I don't know what happened in there. Nothing really looks broke, so we might clean this up and dissect it at a later date. I don't know if it was a clip or something that come off, but it ripped the boot. So, and I've looked up the parts on these. To put these back together and rebuild them doesn't make sense. Cost effective, nice. You start buying the individual parts and pieces. It's just smarter to just go ahead and buy the freaking new one and be done with it. Just being completely honest. So, just a heads up on this if you guys dive into these. I mean, they're not cheap. I think it was like 200 bucks, but what do you do? You know, what do you do? There we go. Yeah, buddy. Now, here's my hopes, is that I can unbolt the tie rod, pop that loose. You guys have seen in other videos in the tie rod install. Those pop off real easy. I'm going to pop that loose. I'm going to unhook this top joint. I might have to unhook this brake line. I don't think I'm going to have to pull the caliper and the hub and the whole 9 yards. So I'm going to pull here, pop this ball joint. Hopefully it'll come out pretty easy. And then my guess is that this lower swing arm will drop, or A-arm will drop out and allow this knuckle to come forward. Then I should be able to pull the rest of the axle out, and then wham bam, thank you ma'am, install the new one. Let's see what happens. Man, I was just in here the other day too, and this really wasn't that bad. It must have let go. I don't know. Must have let go just the other day. I don't know. Oh well, it is what it is. We knew she was making noise. No biggie. Move on. All right, so there she's loose. Oh, that's gonna need to be cleaned up. That's minor. There it is. Trick is to keep that nut on that upper ball joint on there so that when it does pop loose, guys, it doesn't just swing out in parts and pieces and shit goes sideways on you. Now, I've never done one of these, so this is the first one of these I've ever done. So bear with me. But if you guys have been watching the channel a little while, you guys all know I dive in on stuff I've never done before all the time. And it also always seems to come back together, so. I don't know. Oh yeah. That should give me plenty of room. Maybe. Ha! We'll find out when we go to put the new one back in. These axles up in here come out a little on the hard side. Yeah, right there. I'm filming all this inverted, and then I'm going to have to change it in editing, so. Because if you just pull on the axle, that CV or that U-joint in there comes apart. Oh, I may have to get online myself and do a little research on how these actually come out. But I'm going to play with it for just a little bit and see if my methods are going to work. A lot of times my methods do work. There it is. Wow, that come out. Bam! So did you see that? See, there's this snap ring right here that holds it in. They just basically slide up in there. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe we'll dissect that at a later date and give you an idea what actually happened there. Because you can go online and find all the parts breakdowns on these. Loose. Yeah, see the ball bearings in there? I mean, they're a traditional CV axle, just like all the rest of them. Yeah, there's some, maybe a broken clip or something down in there. Whatever, it is what it is. We got a new freshie to put in it, so it doesn't really matter. All right, let me wipe off. I'll grab the other one. I do have a little bit of greasy cleanup here on the ball, on the knuckle and whatnot. It's not too bad, actually. My worry is, it's like we got brake up in these grease up in the pads. All right, there's a new one. A lot better shape than the old one. That one. This one doesn't want to seem to let go. So that's good. Yeah. So we're gonna pop this dude back in there. Right back up in the hole. Now if these are anything like cars, that can be an absolute nightmare sometimes to get these back in. Like they come out. Sometimes they're a nightmare to come out. Sometimes they're a nightmare to go back in. I don't know. I may end up having to take this knuckle completely apart. I don't know. I think if I unhook that brake line, it might just about get me what the enough right there. Oh, that'll give me a little more. Because there's not really a good way to tap any of this with a hammer. Let me grab my leather hammer. Some people have a rubber mallet. I have a leather mallet. Ha! That was enough. Yeah, it should pop right in there. All right. Oh. Ah. Dang it. And I had to rivet that one. They riveted this one and that one's bolted on. Urgh. If that was enough, I think it might have been just enough. Oh, that's gonna work. Yes. Nice. Oh, come on, baby. kneecaps. Went in on that end. Well, that's not good. That is definitely not good. That should have slid right in there. I wonder if we got a bearing froze up or something. So I got that in, and I didn't get to film that. Uh-oh. So the old one slid right out. Now this new one doesn't want to slide up into the knuckle. There it goes. So we're going to go ahead and pull it back out. Hopefully. It was a bit of a challenge getting it in there. But it did work. I probably could pop that caliper off. And that would get me. Yeah, let's just go ahead and pull the caliper. It's just 2 bolts. Man, I tell you what, guys, that yellow Loctite that Can-Am uses, that is some gnarly stuff. Man, anytime I start tearing up these things apart, whew, they fight the heck out of me. But it's an opportunity to pull these apart and get a look at the caliper, see what the brake pads look like. The brake pads are holding up pretty well. We got a pretty good shot of miles on these things. They're holding up pretty well. So... I do not have a set of calipers to double check them to find out if they're the same. They're supposed to be. We're going to go ahead and check our hub bearings. Yeah. Bearings are all in good shape. I really feel like that should slide in there pretty easy. That shouldn't be a super funky frictional joint or anything. Oh, heck, it slid right in there then. So there you go. Slid right in there that time. So we'll go ahead and run our ball joint back up, put our nut on, and reassemble, man. Run back up in there. Now you're not going to get a socket in here, so just be warned. I had to tear it apart. I used a 19mm wrench, which is the same size that the tie rods are too. Which I've got the new tie rod for this right side coming. Called today. It's not in yet, so I really want to get this thing back in the woods and do some testing on these carnivore tires before summer gets here too awful bad. I'm still got, I mean, it's spring, it's been muddy, and it's a mess back there. So finding mud is not a problem. Not a problem. I don't know about y'all, but I mean, I haven't done a ton of research on those carnivores. I lost my wrench. I'm doing this at full droop. I just used the old mower lifter 9000. The old, whatever, you guys saw the video on that we bought. I think that was on the DS, or not the DS, might have been the tuner install on the KFX. This ball joint does have a cotter pin in it. It did not have one in it. I think I might put one in. I don't know, we'll see once we get her up in there. See how snug this really is once it's in. And honestly, guys, I don't think I've done anything with this machine that should have tore that CV axle up. I mean, I had the tractor tires on it this winter. Them tractor tires do create some wheel hop on the front, so I don't know. We'll put her back together and call it a learning experience. Is that what we can call that? A learning experience? Okay, we are tapered there. Something I found in the past, guys, you take a hammer and tap the top of your ball joints. Sometimes it'll seat them just enough to cause the friction to take over because they are tapered, that when you go to tighten them back up, they'll actually tighten up instead of just spinning in the knuckle. I think that worked on this one. And I didn't hit it super hard. I didn't beat the snot out of it. Just a couple of good persuasive whacks was enough. There we go. I don't know. Well, apparently it wasn't enough. Tap her again. I wish Can-Am would get with the program too and make these a greasable ball joint. You know how easy it'd be to just have a little zert there. You just throw a couple squirts in there. Come on, Can-Am, get with your design team. That is not, I would pay an extra $5 per machine or $15, hell, $20 per machine to have greasable ball joints on it. I mean, the bottom one you don't want to grease dirt on because you're going to end up ripping it off, but the top one at least. You know, but on these new 23s, none of the A-arms are greasable either, which I kind of don't really like. Okay, not gonna be able to put a cotter pin in there just because of it doesn't tighten up enough, and that's not a true castle nut, which I don't want a castle nut on there. I prefer the nylox. All better. Cool. So let's finish blowing this thing back together. Oh no, we're good. I gotta clean this dude up. You can see we got some grease and stuff on the rotor. Do not put them back together with grease there. And then I'll come back and brake clean the caliper itself. We'll throw this back on, throw the caliper on, throw the tie rod on, wheel on, rip it. There we go. Throw that back on there. Throw the tie rod back on. That'll keep things from wanting to run around on you. Need to hose down the brake caliper though. Make sure there's no grease residue on those brake pads. That could be bad. Dude, I got a smoking deal on these things the other day. Man, got into, I think it was AutoZone. They had them on sale. Brake clean. Shop Pro, but whatever. 2 for $4. Smoking deal. I'm gonna make sure all the mud's off of this. There we go. Much better. Still a little bit of debris in there, but that's all just debris. Slide that dude back on now. So there it is, guys, all back together. Okay. New fancy schmancy new CV axle put in. Like I said, I don't know if anybody else has done one of these yet. This is the first one I've heard of even having any axle issues. That's what makes me think it's not a broken axle. These machines, you get into like the XTs and the XMRs, they're running 27, 28. Heck, I think Ostercruiser's running a 31-inch Assassinator on them. There's a bunch of guys on the XMRs running monster wheels on these with on stock axles and whatnot. Now, I believe Ostercruiser did put a 1 or 2 inch forward axle on these, or excuse me, upper and lower control arms or A arms. So his wheels do set a little forward, give him a little more clearance for those big 31 or 32 inch Assassinators that he's running. But I mean, those are a 28 inch Carnivore. The other tires are tractor tires. Aggressive, yes, but they're only a 27 inch tire. So not huge by any means, but there it is, guys. We're all back together. We're going to put the wheel back on it, and we're going to send this thing. I need to take it over to the farm and check some trail cams and stuff. So, as always, guys, thanks for hanging out, checking out the videos. Like, subscribe, tell your friends. It's Average John Horseman, no spaces. We are also on Instagram, and you can catch up with me at John Ankney on Facebook. Hit me a like, subscribe, follow. Post stuff there that isn't necessarily all YouTube content. Some of our other stuff we do, horses and breakages and just some of the events that we do once in a while will also be on there. So check us out. Drop a comment if you like what we're doing here. And as always, guys, we'll see you on the next adventure.